Hey guys, I'm Yoni Zlotkin, product manager of NX. NX is a virtual monitoring plugin that will let you hear sound on headphones as if it were coming from speakers around you in a room. NX will let you make good mixing decisions while you're working with headphones. I would like to show you the basics of how it works. First of all, I'm going to insert NX on the last point of my signal chain, in this case the master bus. NX comes with a head tracking application. It uses the web camera to track your face and head movements. When I open the plugin, the head tracking application comes up automatically. You can see here it detects my face and draws a box around it, and wherever I move, it follows me. Notice that the tracking algorithm needs to see your eyes, nose, and mouth to reliably track your position. If I move too far to one side, it will lose the tracking. Notice that the tracking will come back once I'm back in the frame. So for reliable tracking, make sure not to move further than about 30 degrees off center. Also make sure you're not too far away from the camera, no more than 4 or 5 feet. Another important thing to notice is the frame rate. It is displayed down here. Most cameras can reach up to 30 frames per second, but it can depend on the amount of light in the room. So if you see your frame rate going down, it usually means you don't have enough light. For good performance with NX, we need it to be above 20. Now that I see that the tracking is working properly, let's go back to the plugin. The tracking application is now running in the background. Once audio is running through the plugin, I can start see the head moving with my head movements. But as you can see, I'm not centered now. I need to set my sweet spot. I just hold my head in the position I want the sweet spot to be and click sweet spot. From now on, this will be my center position. If you want to reset the sweet spot, you can do that as many times as you need. Now we're ready to mix. Just remember to bypass the plugin once you're ready to bounce the tracks. A couple more things I'd like to show you here are these two control sections down here. First of all, the room ambience will let me control the amount of reflections I have in my virtual room. The speaker position section will let me control the position of the speakers. I can move them around in all directions. For stereo mixing, you'd usually want to leave the speakers at their default position, that is 60 degrees in front of you. NX also features surround components, 5.1 and 5.0. The surround components accept 5 or 6 input channels, but they will always output to just 2 channels for headphone listening. These 2 channels contain information about all the input channels in their virtual positions. So you hear the left, right, and center speakers in front of you and the rear speakers behind you. You'll notice that when you open NX on a surround mixing session, you will always have 2 options to choose from. 2 options for 5.1 and 2 options for 5.0. For example, when you open NX on a 5.1 surround session, you can either choose the regular 5.1 component or you can choose a component called 5.1 to stereo. These 2 options are exactly the same, except that the 5.1 to stereo component has only 2 outputs, whereas the regular 5.1 component has the same number of inputs and outputs, 6 inputs, 6 outputs, but only 2 of the output channels are actually playing audio. Now, if all you want to do at the moment is to route NX to your stereo headphones, the simplest way to do this would be with the 5.1 to stereo component. But if you need to use NX surround without changing the number of output channels, for example, if you're monitoring through an outboard box, you should use the regular 5.1 component. Only in this case, you will need to route the left and right channels to your headphones, either from the in-out settings of your DAW or from an external patch. The last thing I want to show you is the head modeling section down here. NX is a psychoacoustics effect. Our psychoacoustic experience depends on the shape and size of our individual heads. And the nice thing about NX is that it lets you personalize the effect by entering your individual head measurements in the head modeling section. First, you gotta measure the circumference of your head. It's the longest distance around your head. So you go over the back of the head, over your ears, and over your eyebrows. My circumference came out 22 inches. So I'll input that in the circumference. Second, you need to measure the distance from ear to ear over the back of your head. My distance came out to be 10 inches. So I'll put that under interoral arc. Now I can set these settings to be the default, so every time I open an NX plugin, it will load with these settings. So guys, I think that's about all you need to know to get started with NX. I hope you enjoy it.